market deal for his winger, and that kind of came to pass in this game. It was one of Liam Marshall's quietest games of the season, but yeah, he gets involved. He does a lot of work, does Bateman, and you've got to credit him for that. I was disappointed that he wasn't in the pack, because I thought, here we go, time for Watts to finally combust as a cast player. But to Watts' credit, he was hit
repeatedly,
hugely hard by O'Loughlin on 2 tackles in particular in the second half, where he was taken off his feet. On neither of them he went above the horizontal, so there was no question of penalties being called in my view. They were just really good, hard, legitimate hits that knocked him back, as Wigan have been doing in this game. And I've got to say, he didn't lose his head on either of them, so maybe he has grown up and turned a corner just by this transfer. So if that's good, if that's happened, that's a great sign for Castleford. But most of what happened physically in this game was not a great sign for Castleford, but a really good sign for Wigan.
No, and one thing to touch on from a Castle perspective is you wouldn't have thought, watching him, that Gary Lowe was on his debut.
Would you not?
I don't know. I thought he showed some quite good reads, and
I don't know. I was underwhelmed by him. He had a lot of carries, so it contributed to him getting a good chunk of meters, but he got lucky when he kicked that ball forward that he found it coming back into his hands. He made 2 or 3 crucial errors in exiting with the ball that were not good enough, but what we've known he has got in him, we even saw it in the World Cup. But he did grab a try and he didn't stop working, which is a credit to him. Definitely, and there's more to come, I'd say, from Gary Lowe in the Super League.
And I think he's a potentially very exciting player. I think he's got something.
Potentially, yeah, but I mean, go on, explain your point about his debut.
It looked like he was because the way they set up and the way they were flinging the ball out to him, it looked like they were playing with a winger that they were established with, they're happy with, and that they were all trusting. And it's probably just the way that the team is set up at Cas that they were really trusting. And it might have been a case of they were sort of almost going too far in promoting him with the ball a little bit and putting too much pressure on him. But to me, it would look like he was the star that they were chucking it out to.
No, that's a very good point. There was no shying away from. They weren't hiding him, were they? So that's a good point that you make. I wasn't thinking it from that sort of perspective. I was thinking it more the errors he made, and he certainly. I don't know how any cast player got on the shortlist really, but the shortlist for the man of the match is a.
Well,
totally...
it's gone down from 4 mysterious legends to 1 mysterious legend, whoever that is.
I think there's 4 mysterious legends, but only 1 picks it per game.
Oh right, okay.
But either way, baffled how Sam Tompkins wasn't on that list either. For me, Sam Tompkins and Joe Burgess were and then Liam Farrell third behind them were the best players on the pitch in this one. But Wigan had I thought Tommy Luluai had his best game of the season. Paul McShane and Alex Foster were the 2 cast players that particularly impressed me. Foster's grown a lot. I feel
he's come on a bit this season, and he's in the conversation as a starting player definitely, rather than someone who's going to be sort of starter or bench, sort of dropping between depending on injuries and whatever, and how you're balancing your side.
Yeah, I feel like he's part of the side rather than a player who comes in when you've got injuries. He doesn't feel like a squad player to me anymore at this current moment in time. And he was really good, particularly he was the only forward who impressed me for Castleford in the first 20 minutes of the game.
Fair enough. So looking at the stats, Wigan had 100 more metres at slightly better average gain and capitalised on that with 7 breaks to 4. They gave away 1 fewer penalty and had a better team tackle success, although 13 errors to 10 will be part of what Wigan need to improve on.
Yep, in terms of individuals, winning players, Liam Farrell with a try in 117 metres, Joe Burgess with a try assist, 5 tackle busts, 197 metres, 2 clean breaks, and John Bateman 125 metres, Oliver Gildart 2 tries. For the losing Castleford Tigers, Gary Lowe with a try in 130 metres, Paul McShane 43 tackles, and Mike McMeekin 111 metres. So again, he didn't impress me live watching the game, but obviously he did pick up a big part of the chunk of the effort and the metres that Cass made. So, it goes back to what we were saying before, doesn't it, I suppose?
Yeah. There we go.
I'm waiting for him to jump off the page, and he is doing, but not. Yeah. So also on Friday night was the final game of round 12, and it was an absolute shellacking for the Huddersfield Giants. It was St Helens. Is that the right word? 66.
Shellacking, yeah, I think that'll
Huddersfield
do.
4. In front of 10,278. Scott Mickey Mousecast was the referee. It was 34-0 at half-time, 66-4 at full-time. Pretty comprehensive. We had a couple of fan views in, one from each side.
Starting off with Mark W, who says, the worst thing to ever happen on April the 20th, and I include the birth of Hitler in that statement.
Well, he didn't want to retract it this week. That's more controversial than last week's. Good work, Mark. St David said, weakened Saints were on fire against weakened Huddersfield, with the Red V keeping its foot on the gas to the very end. Exhibition stuff with some lovely tries. Lomax and Barber, the stars behind a dominant pack. Only complaint was the comical lying on. And like last week, we kept our heads, kept playing, and the tries kept coming. Maybe Mikalauskas was showing some sympathy to Huddersfield by letting them lie on, if that was what was happening in this game.
Could well have been.
It didn't influence what Saints were able to do when they did have the ball in their hands. And from the highlights, they were devastating with pace and nice lines and all running in the same direction. And they didn't miss James Roby.
No, it was, and again, it's just the pace that Saints came out at, and they kept up. Which was the thing of, from watching the highlights, they just absolutely pinged it round. And they were really doing what they've done all season. And what really Roby was helping them to do, as much as anything, was to get that second play of the ball where you get the first one and then you jump straight off the back of it somehow. And it's the classic James Roby play where he just goes a tinsy bit and then shimmies to the left and goes out. But they were doing that and just getting that roll on and then really chucking it wide quickly.
Yeah, and young Matty Costello on debut in the centres for the suspended Mark Percival. He grabbed 2 try assists for him. Regan Grace even managed to actually finish a try off, even though he ran a remarkably unnecessary amount of metres to do it, but showed a nice burst at the end. Almost all the tries that they scored as the game was winding down in those highlights seemed like there was just acres of room for all the players to charge through and score. And there was just no catching them in the first half in the tries they broke away to score. So it was electrifying stuff from Saints, and I guess there's not much to say about what Huddersfield put up other than former Saints player Jordan Turner got a try. Yeah,
so in terms of moving on to the stats, because that's pretty much all I've got for this, I presume you've got nothing else?
No, so the game set a new season high for tries in a game so far in 2018. Unfortunately for the Giants fans, 12 of the 13 tries were scored by St Helens. Saints had 107 more carries and 748 more metres, 15 breaks, fewer errors and fewer penalties conceded. To keep going on with the stats might be mean on Huddersfield fans, so we'll just wrap through the individuals instead. Johnny Lomax and Ben Barber were probably the main stars on display. Lomax, 3 tries, 1 try assist, 147 metres. Ben Barber, 2 tries, 3 try assists, 9 tackles, 121 metres, 3 clean breaks. Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook popped up with 2 tries and 131 metres to reward good form consistently this season, I suppose. And John Wilkin even had 3 try assists and 104 metres. And we could have gone on and on and on. For the losing Giants side, Ollie Roberts had 45 tackles.
Fair enough. So looking at the standings then, Saints maintain their 2-point lead at the top and extend their points difference, surprisingly, with that one. And Wigan stay second and move clear of Warrington, who of course played in the Cup this weekend. Hull FC have moved to 4th on 14.
Come on, finish on your crunchy.
It's over there, don't worry. That was a yawn. That was a yawn more than anything.
Was that a yawn?
Hull FC have moved to...
I thought it was a swallow.
No, it was a yawn. It's been a long day. Hull FC have moved to 4th on 14 points above Cass on points difference. Leeds make up the top 6. Salford rise to 7th with a better points difference than 8th placed Wakefield. Widnes and KR sit 4 points outside the top 8. Huddersfield and Catalan stay as the bottom 2.
Yeah, so that's the league standings. The more important standings we have here is prediction Super Brew and Dream Team. Now, in the predictions, I went 2 out of 4 this week. You put up a miserable 1 out of 4 for your co-host cohorts. So it's 34 each. As we've gone through 12 rounds of Super League, but only 10 rounds of picking games or so. In the Super Brew, Owen Hughes, our old friend Owen, who we haven't heard from for a while. He has had a sterling week. He's wearing the yellow cap this weekend. But there's been quite a lot of movement around at the top two, and it's Chris McEwen who has risen to take the top spot. In the table there, and in the Dream Team standings, Matthew Loftus, who's down in 56th place in the table, but he was the top scorer this week with an impressive 593 with only the 4 games being played. Alan Bagley stays top, but Matthew has helped impressively, I think, by Salford selections, I can only assume, but great performance there from Matthew, and this might see his climb up the table begin. That's it for the Super League. So we're now going to move on to other results, as we've got how many competitions? The Cup, the Championship League One, the Women's Games, and the NRL. Tons to cover in the other results. Other results time now, sponsored by Master of Shaves. Master of Shaves is a small, family-run business that sells high-quality, traditional wet shaving products and specialises in straight razors. Visit their website, masterofshaves.com, and Super League Pod listeners can get 10% off their order using the voucher code SLP at checkout. Someone who I think needs to smarten up his facial hair this week is Albert Kelly. So,
yes.
So there you go.
But would he be in a fit state to hold the razor? Would you want him with something like? Because I think the straight razor, you definitely need to be very sober to use. It's not like you can wake up with a bit of a hangover and just dab a bit around.
No, that's a fair shout. Yeah, play safe with your straight razors, but do if you do like a clean, tight, wet shave, do check out Master of Shaves. Right, Challenge Cup. We have a few reviews in from the first game and the last game on our list of results to read through. So I'll take you through the results, and Tim will take you through the fan feedback. On Saturday, it was Widnes 90, Coventry 0, as Widnes put up their highest ever score.
Yeah, Alan Witts got in touch with this one. He was up on the supporters bus, and he said that a game that was going to be nothing more than a good day out for Coventry and a tune-up game for Widnes, which could account for the smallish crowd. Coventry never really troubled the home team, but didn't let their heads drop. The Widnes players and fans were first class towards the Bears throughout, apart from the clown behind me, who had a hard-on for Stanton Albert.
It was his debut, so, encouraging the big PNGian.
The biggest thing I took away from the game was just how different the speed was between the two teams, something you don't really get a feel for in a league game. So, yeah. You there? Oh, you dropped? Yeah. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Widnes came out very quickly and got away to that lead very quickly. Coventry, once they'd got to that point, weren't going to get too far, and they were picked up a couple of injuries. And Benstead came off injured, and the winger Errol Carter. So Carter's man bun exited the Challenge Cup swiftly before Coventry did, which is a shame.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
It is. However, Coventry did seem to take... Oh, my voice. It's gone very funny. Sorry. Just grab a drink.
It's cost that Crunchy's repeating on you. I told you not to take it all in one, but you refused to take my advice.
Yeah, all right, Mum.
Super Danny Craven scored 4 tries along the way.
Yes.
Matt Whitley celebrated his new deal.
Yeah, it was if you were going to get
So did Brad Walker celebrate his new deal. Yeah, and with what I think is his first try at the senior level.
Yeah, obviously Craven took a break from doing news round to come and score some tries. But yeah, it seemed as Alan touched on, the only disappointing thing really was the attendance, that not more Widnesians came.
1,438 embarrassing.
Came along really, because it was a 10 quid a ticket. And it was a Saturday afternoon early kick-off, so it was plenty of time to get people in. But just a shame that they didn't come. I mean, Coventry put up some good numbers. A supporters coach coming, the first ever supporters coach from the Bears. So brilliant on the development that they're making as a club.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, also on Saturday it was Warrington 54, Bradford 6, as another League One side was put to the sword. 4 tries for Josh Charlie and a hat-trick for Bryson Goodwin amongst the notable things in this one. Probably the worst thing to have to talk about is Ben Curry's picked up another injury on his knee, and we don't know the extent of that.
Is it the same? Is it the